listen. We got bonus footage, all right?
No, stop.
You don't want to get in the video?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh, he's also a soldier, by the way. Here,
JD,
what am I?
you want to do me a favor and hand me my other one?
Oh, snap.
Oh, man. So this is my personal stamp of approval on SHOEI helmets. I've been crash tested. I am literally.
You know what? You have to give the story on this one, because I was getting on Leo's case about going to see the doctor and all that good stuff. But you know.
So, quick fun fact: I started riding several years ago, and I started out wearing Icon helmets. And I like Icon helmets. The colors are loud. They know how to make a great product and how to market it. But if I were to describe Icon, I would describe it more as an intermediate brand. You know, you have your basic brands that are just no frills. They're designed to get you riding, and then that's it. Then you have intermediate level helmets that are designed to have a bit more features, be a bit lighter, be a bit more aggressive in aerodynamics, maybe in ventilation, but they're not meant to kill you in the wallet. You know, they're going to be affordable.
Yeah, especially with the striker rig vest and the armor. You know, like for the vest, it's only like what, 130, 140. They're very affordable, within reach.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I would consider Icon to be, that intermediate affordable range. They definitely do have some more upscale products, like with their Icon 1000 lineup. It's meant to be their select brand, if you would. But I've always said that if there's two departments within Icon I would love to meet and shake the hands of, it's the art and design department and also the marketing department, because
whoever did this,
well, these are SHOEI's, obviously.
Oh, I was about to say,
but I'm saying, and this is just a little backstory on my personal riding history.
Yes.
Icon knows how to make a product that looks great, and they know how to sell it, how to make it appealable to the mass market, which is phenomenal for a company to do. That being said, eventually I found myself wanting something lighter, something a bit more aerodynamic, something a bit more aggressive. And I found myself on the doorstep of the SHOEI RF 1200. This was right about the time that SHOEI dropped the 1200 about 4 years ago, which actually coincided with me starting here as an employee and with my career here at Cycle Gear. I looked at what was available. I tried the 1200. I had considered the 1100 previously, but the old 1100 was a bit on the bulky side. It had a duckbill at the bottom that kind of had an interface issue with the back of a jacket. Or the speed hump on suits.
That would panic somebody, like, you know, especially if you can't get that initial turn, like, oh crap.
And that was actually an issue of mine with the Icons, was an interface issue with the jackets, with the suits, which led me to the 1200. So I bought my first RF 1200 that summer, the summer of 2014. And I didn't listen to a friend of mine at the time who said, hey, look, you should really size yourself up again in the 1200 specifically. I was going just based off the fact that I had fit Icon in a large. I had fit HJC in a large, and it was fine. And I didn't listen to him. And then a few months go down the road, and suddenly the helmet is way broken in, super loose. And I realized at that point the importance of a properly fitting helmet, even if it's just from one brand to another, or even from one helmet to another, even if it's the same brand. Fitment varies from person to person, from helmet to helmet, so always resize if you're thinking about a different brand, a different lid. Definitely resize. So what ended up happening was I ended up buying this one, my second RF 1200. It's a Marquez 3. Big Marquez fan. Serious props to the guys, and I know I'm going to catch flack for this because you have the whole Marquez versus Rossi debate, and
when they duel, it's always epic.
It's epic. I have a lot of respect for Valentino. I'm a big fan of his as well. I'm more a fan of MotoGP and the story and the championship as a whole. But when it comes to who I think is the best of the best right now, it has to be this guy right here. He's breaking records left and right. Number 93. I mean, just look up his record stats in the last couple of years. The kid is on a dominating fashion. That being said, more about my history with SHOEI helmets. Bought this helmet, and within a few months I actually got a friend of mine who hit me up, and it was mid-January, and he told me, he's like, hey, look, I'm inviting you up to upstate New York. I have a couple friends that are going to go out on the frozen lake. They're going to have dirt bikes equipped with studded tires. Would you be interested? Sure, why not? So I thought I'd take my brand new RF with me, and I thought, what's the worst that can happen? So had a lot of had a lot of fun. It was a blast. Unfortunately, I had 2 tumbles that weekend. 2 good hits on the side of the helmet. I kept it moving. A couple months go by, I'm starting to do track days. I'm just using this helmet religiously. I'm absolutely loving it. The most aerodynamic helmet I've had. The best venting helmet I've had. Super lightweight, super comfortable. Field of vision. I could go on and on and on and on.
Can we see the inside?
Well, the inside's going to be a little bit...
Oh, it's naked at the moment.
It's gutted to kind of just show customers who are interested what a damaged helmet looks like, and I'll explain that in a second. So eventually, doing track days, I get my racing license. And last season, 2017, was my first season with CCS. I used this helmet throughout the season. The July round in New Jersey at Thunderbolt CCS, I had a master cylinder failure, which resulted in me going off into the dirt. And the runoff area was roughly about 300 feet, and I ended up having to bail off the motorcycle 10 feet before the tire wall, still going at speed. When I hit the ground, I actually tumbled on the left side, and I destroyed the left side vent. On a normal Marquez 3, these vents are actually red. I added my own personal touch when I changed them. So that was already 3 hits over the course of the life of this helmet, which when they tell you that a helmet is essentially a one and done, they pretty much mean it. Every time that you take a serious hit with a helmet, especially with you in it, you go compromising the shell.
The integrity of the surface.
So then, fast forward a few months later to the September round, and it's raining. It's my first race of the weekend. I've never raced in the rain before, and I find myself in a position I hadn't been previously, at the front of the rookies race, or the amateur category, I should say, fighting it up with experts that I have never been in the dry within even a second or 2, or even 5 within their lap times. So to find myself within that group was a very exciting experience for me. Unfortunately, a red flag went out, and they re-gridded us according to how we came across last. Now, when I registered, I had registered at the back of the pack because I had registered the morning of the race. So when they re-gridded us, suddenly I found myself on the 2nd row, and for me it was a, oh, this is amazing. So the flag goes down for the restart, and I haul. I'm booking it. I get down to turn 1, and I'm up into about top 5, and I'm super excited. Way more excited than I should be. I stop racing with this, and I start racing with this. I see someone out of the corner of my eye start trying to work around the outside of me. And riding in the rain, racing in the rain is very much like racing in the dry. It's doable. You just have to be a bit smoother on the inputs. You have to just be a bit more mindful of the angle of lean that you're carrying. And suddenly seeing that rider try passing me along the outside just triggered something in me. Just I had that moment where I was like, no, this is my line. This is my moment to shine. And just like Marquez, anyone who's a Marquez fan, anyone who likes making fun of Marquez knows, when he gets the red mist, he's in it to win it, or he's gonna bin it. And unfortunately, the helmet lived up to the hype, and I ended up high siding. Wasn't a very pretty high side. I have a friend of mine who was right behind me. He says he came around the corner, and all he saw, he was like, hey, there's someone in the air. And as he came around, he realized, oh, it's Leo. Essentially what it was about a 70-mile-an-hour high side. Got launched probably 6, maybe 7, 8, or 9 feet up into the air, and landed smack dab on the back of my head. Jesus. On the inside of the helmet, the thick white lines that you see are actually from the wires from a comm unit. That's normal if you put a comm in there. What you really should be paying attention is the finer spider cracking that you see along the back vents.
Oh, the impact.
Yeah, that is the sign that the shell has been stressed. that the shell has actually compressed, that the foam is done its job.
Yeah.
Especially if you look here towards the bottom of the neck roll, you'll see where it actually jammed into the back of my neck. I had a pretty aggressively red line across the back of my neck for several days.
Jeez.
You could tell where it actually like compressed.
Yeah, like the accordion effect almost.
Yeah. So we're talking an impact that in a lesser grade helmet could have easily left someone unconscious or with a concussion. Luckily, I was able to pick myself up off the ground and scramble to the dirt, so that the track marshals could do their job, so that they could red flag the session, they can collect the bike, they could pick me up, the medics could do their job of making sure that, you know, I was fine, that I was able to continue, or if I needed to be driven to the hospital. So luckily, I was able to continue. This helmet unfortunately was done. So I immediately ran down to my friends at the Cycle Gear in Cherry Hill, who just so happened to have this bad boy available for me. My original intention was to continue with another RF, but I saw this and I thought to myself, hey, if the RF is good and the X14 is designed to be the race model, shouldn't it be better? And better it was and is. Couple key features that separate this guy compared to the RF. The RF is designed to be used in an upright, 3/4, and a full tuck position. It's multi-use. You know, it's good commuting. It's good on the racetrack. It's good on a cruiser. JD actually uses it on his Harley. It's good on a sport bike. It's good on a variety of motorcycles.
I just learned something with that. I didn't know that they had different styles of helmets like that for different riding positions.
Yep.
Okay. Predator learning something new every day.
Yeah. Well, whereas the RF is designed to be that multi-purpose Goldilocks helmet where it does everything really well, the X14 is essentially a thoroughbred race helmet. A actual slight fun fact, and this comes directly from SHOEI when I went to a SHOEI press conference. The X14 that is commercially available on the shelf is the identical shell design, shell material, and construction to the X14 that is available to top-level racers. So guys like Mark Marquez, who uses SHOEI, his helmet is no different from this one. Bradley Smith, who rides for Factory KTM, his helmet is identical to this one. You know, Eugene Laverty, who rides in World Superbike, his helmet is identical to this one. Which also, fun fact, the shell construction that's in the X14 is identical to the shell construction in the RF 1200. So regardless of whether you're getting a thoroughbred race helmet or whether you're getting the Goldilocks helmet, you're getting world-class level protection. You're getting championship-winning protection. So the big difference between the 1200 and the X14 is the 1200 has 4 vents in, 4 vents out. Breathes phenomenally.
Nice.
The X14 does 2 better. 6 in, 6 out. With the biggest increase actually coming right here to this little guy. Most people would see that small vent and say, it's a small vent. What's the big deal about it? What's so special about a very small vent beneath the chin vent?
Yeah.
Well, whereas the chin vent vents directly to the screen and to the face, the chin vent here actually vents to the side of the face inside the helmet. The small
I see the opening.
Yep. The small holes that you see along the inside actually work along with the cheek pad material, which is thinner in those sections to help vent to the side of the face.
Got it.
So whereas in a 100-degree day, I would come off a track and I would be just sweating, beet red, and just having trouble breathing with the RF 1200. The X14 with that extra ventilation to the side of the face helped me stay cooler, helped me stay focused longer. It wasn't so much the breathability aspect as it was more the comfort aspect. And when you're comfortable, when you're able to stay focused, you're able to go faster. You're able to ride more safely because you're not diverting attention away from what you have to do.
Exactly. I can attest to that.
Another big key difference is the aerodynamics between the 1200 and the X14. The 1200, extremely stable in triple-digit speeds. but it starts to get a little wobbly somewhere around the 150 mark. The X14 is designed for, what's the new speed record in MotoGP? 349 kilometers per hour, which comes out near the 230, maybe 235 mile an hour mark.
Jesus, that's crazy.
So you're talking a helmet that's designed to be aerodynamic up above 200 mile an hour. Small things like the vortex generator here. Hey, how's it going, guys? How you doing today? Like the vortex generator on the side of the shield helps clean up the airflow as it comes over. The winglets and the spoiler that comes off the top helps create clean air behind it, so you don't have that drag behind causing a disruption.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And also small features like the winglets, these are actually replaceable. They come in two sizes, a small and a large size. This is the small size.
Yeah.
The small size is designed for better turnability, you know, for aerodynamics. The larger size is designed for better aerodynamics in a straight line over longer and higher speeds.
So like more like drag stripping?
Drag stripping, or anyone who rides at Daytona. You know, think the Daytona 200.
Okay, got it.
So those are little things that differentiate this guy from that guy. That being said, the protection, definitely the same, definitely lives up to, you know, to the SHOEI name and to the Snell rating that's on it. The story about this one specifically, beginning of this season, CCS, 2 days, 6 races. First day was a bit rough, you know, getting back from the off season, getting back into the groove of things. Second day, feeling a lot better. Unfortunately, someone had spilled oil on the track, and the day was cold, so it was a bit more cautious of a day. However, you still had to push if you wanted good positions, if you still wanted to go for the win. Shout out to my boy Jolan, actually, of Absolute Cycles, who took, I believe, several wins and several podiums that weekend. Dude's an absolute monster. Great coach, by the way. I myself was fighting for 5th. Ended up with a 5th, ended up with a couple 6ths. Unfortunately, in my 5th race of the weekend, 3rd of the day, final lap, chasing down after somebody, going through turn 3, A, B, and C on Thunderbolt, coming over Wheelie Hill, started gaining on him, heading into turn 4. Unfortunately, I miscalculated. My entry speed was a bit higher than what I was used to. I panicked, and instead of squeezing the brakes a little harder to try to close up, close up my radius, I would have lost drive. I would have ended up losing the battle for 5th place and would have had to deal with 6th. But at the time, I was in a do or die mentality. I was, no, I want that 5th place. I want, you know, I want that place. I want a good result. So unfortunately, I didn't think about slowing down. I thought more about trying to save the bike. And so as I went through turn 4, I ended up going out wide, and to avoid low siding into the dirt, I tried picking the bike up. I was able to pick the bike up and roll out into the dirt section at turn 4, you know, the runoff area at Thunderbolt. But unfortunately, whether it was error of my own or whether it was, you know, just the dirt being dug up from, you know, gophers in the air, not gophers, groundhogs in the area, or from other riders having crashed out there previously throughout the weekend and just digging ditches into the ground. Unfortunately, I can't remember whether it was I tapped the front brake and lost it, or whether the front wheel got stuck in one of those holes and I ended up going face first into the dirt.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about it. I still cringe, you know, even seeing some of the interior, you know.
Yeah, turn 4 at Thunderbolt. If you're hitting it correctly, you're going wide open. You're hitting it at some serious speed. Unfortunately, I can't really remember how fast I was going when I was on the dirt. All I know is that it definitely rattled me, and it definitely caused some damage to the helmet. Once again, the SHOEI saved me. It compressed the foam right here in the forehead region, if you actually look on the inside, you'll see that the foam has actually been compressed.
That was a hell of a hit.
Yeah. Which actually, if you take a look here and slightly here, you can see marks where my temple hit. And
wow.
I actually ended up losing a tooth and a half in that incident. Not because of any fault of the helmet, but because of the way I landed face first. I ended up knocking one of my teeth out. But luckily, that was honestly the only thing to come of that. I was able to walk away with a couple bruises, some soreness in the shoulder, in my back, obviously a bruised ego at that point. But the important thing is I was able to get up and walk away. I didn't need a medevac. I didn't need to be driven to the hospital. I was able to go about my day.
Yeah.
You know, pack up my bike, go home, reflect, and thank that, you know, SHOEI got my back. That I was able to ride with one of the best manufacturers out there when it comes to helmets. That they test their helmets for the pros and also for guys like you and me, for the girls, you know, for the hobbyists, for the daily riders, for everybody. So,
and I'm glad you're here to tell the tale, man. You know, speaking of which, you know, one of my people went down on Sunday, and I can't stress the importance of gear. Dress for the ride that you're going on.
Yeah.
So, if anything, Leo is here. That it did its job. So just make sure, trust the equipment, guys. You know, this has been story time with Leo. And anything you would say before we wrap up this segment?
I mean, it goes way beyond just the helmet. You know, you see guys out there with a top-level helmet, but they're still rocking shorts and flip-flops. I mean...
Oh, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, everybody's got to ride their own ride.
Okay.
But it's more than just helmets, you know, good gloves, good jackets, back protectors. Even if you don't want to rock leather or, for example, textile pants, even just Kevlar-lined jeans or good riding shoes, every little bit helps because having been there myself, you know, having high-sided, you know, and not been wearing anything, you know, shorts, t-shirt, Converses, no helmet, no gloves, having spent a week in the hospital and then 3 months out of work, and then having 2 almost back-to-back, you know, accidents where I rocked my skull, but being able to get up and walk away at a much higher speed, it really speaks to the volume of the gear itself. So I can't stress it enough.
Gear. All right, I'm being summoned. I'll see you guys. Thank you, Leo.